Hello everyone, my name is Iwona Filipiak and I'm a real estate advisor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Chicago. Today we're joined by Steve Rakowski from LSR Family Law Group. Steve, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Steve is a 2021 super lawyer and he's also featured on the attorneys Who's list, as well as he's a chairman of the paternity subcommittee of the ISBA Family Law Council, and he's an author on many articles, the most recent one on issue of pet ownership in divorce. However, today we will focus on the business law side of your practice, and I would like for you to share your most memorable success story on the business sales side.
Sure. We handle both business litigation and transactional issues here at LSR Family Law Group. But what I prefer to work on, if I get the opportunity, are business transactions. Purchases, sells, mergers, divestitures. And in that setting, both the buyer and the seller have the same goal: the transfer of ownership. So they're often acting very cooperatively to accomplish that goal. However, there are certain instances where there is some uncertainty about what's going to happen in the future. And nowhere is that uncertainty more poignant and a bigger concern of the parties than now during the COVID-19 reaction and how that has impacted businesses. So the success story that I want to share with your listeners this morning is an occasion where we had an uncertainty involved in a business valuation. And in that situation, we developed what's called a buyout, right? or a premium payment based on future performance of the business after it's in the purchaser's hands. So we set certain performance metrics and conditions of additional payments if the business hit those performance metrics while in the buyer's hands. And that gave the seller comfort that they were getting the value of the business that they knew was there, that the continued performance potential was going to be there. So the seller was happy. The buyer had the protection of conditions on payment of those monies after the closing. And of course there was a basic sales price that was set and payment made at the closing itself. But the premium was set again based on conditions and contingencies that had to be met in order for the seller to earn that additional payment.
Okay. So I mean, that's the first time that I've been dealing with the business law issues like that. So so after the closing, can you tell us what happened after the closing? Was that business really performing the way that the seller has predicted, or has that changed, and then how did that?
So that's a great follow-up question, Iwona. So in order for the buyer and the seller to have confidence in whether or not the metrics were being satisfied, the conditions were being met, they had to agree beforehand on who was going to decide that, all right, and how it was going to be decided. So we involved an objective outside accountant to review all of the sales histories, the expenses, because imagine if a seller doesn't want to pay the additional earnout, they'll do what they can to depress the activity of the business potentially to the extent that it doesn't harm them long term. May decide to purchase more inventory than usual, pay higher wages than previously were made, and that all has a depressive effect on the net income of the business. So we had to carefully draw a plan that helped these buyers, and the buyer and the seller, determine what the definition of future income was going to be. It's a technical business. The issue requires a great deal of sophistication on the part of the lawyers and an ability of the lawyers to work closely with the accountants of both sides. So in this situation, experienced attorneys are a must.
Well, my head is already spinning, so I appreciate you sharing that story with us. So for those of you who do have a business and are thinking about the sale, feel free to contact Steve, and I'm sure with your experience you'll be able to sit down and explain a little bit more detail on how the business sale can be successfully performed, and what needs to be done. So can you share your information with us?
Sure.
And for those who are interested in meeting with you?
We have extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions where a party is selling or buying a business, but we
Okay.
also have extensive experience in generational transfers where
Okay.
children are succeeding to the interests of the parents, and there's buyout situations or gifting situations. So we work closely with them in an estate planning context as well.
Okay.
But each person's situation is as unique as that person. So for more information, I would invite you to look at our website, LSR Family Law Group. .com, or please call us for a free initial consultation at 847-412-9950.
Thank you, Steve, very much for sharing your story. And